Welcome to Ivycreates. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. I would love it if you would hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss video when they come out on Thursdays. Also, please leave a comment because I love to read your comments and get to know a little bit about you. So thank you so much in advance for watching and spending your time with us. So today I'm going to start off doing some coastal decor. I'm using a simple fence board, a piece of fence board that I cut, and some wood seahorse cutouts. And this is just to show you that you don't need to know how to draw to do something. And I wanted to make this a cute little seahorse hanger or shelf sitter, whichever way you want to do it, for my niece's bathroom. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. So these are going to be kind of different colors, and I'm going to start doing grass, and I'm doing it with gold, and it's got a lot of yellow into the gold. But this is just to do my seagrass. And I also use Chalk Country. What is it? It is Country Summer Wheat as the base color for this on my fence board. And I try to find fence boards whenever I can. They're a great canvas to use for whatever you need to use them for. And this one turns out super cute, and it's going to be great for my niece's bathroom. So I'm just painting in the grass, trying to get that done before I start working on our little seahorses. And seahorses, they hold a really special place in my heart because I used to have this image of them when I was in elementary school up until I was in high school. And this is so funny. This always just fascinated me. I watched Aquaman, and it's not the Aquaman that, like Jason Momoa, I want to go man shopping with Lisa Bonet kind of Aquaman. It is the Aquaman of cartoons who rode seahorses as his means of transportation and everything, and the seahorses looked huge because, he was a human. So, well, actually like a merman, but the seahorses looked huge, so in my mind, I always thought seahorses big, those are out in the ocean, and I've lived on the beach my whole life, so I don't know why I thought that. So now I'm just drying this a little bit so I can go into my next phase of tracing around my little wooden cutout to making sure that it's dry. So anyways, my mind, I always thought seahorses were humongous. Well, flash forward to biology in high school, and we had marine biology in my school where I lived because I live right on the beach. Of course, we had to have marine biology. So we go down to the beach and we cast some nets. Actually, we were seining. Most people don't know what that is, but we were netting some fish and stuff, and we were going to put them in these big aquariums in our classroom. And so we do that. And I would never in a million years thought that in our little harbor of brackish water that we would come up with seahorses. But sure enough, we had 2 seahorses, and they were tiny. They were not even 6 inches tall, and come to find out, that's probably one of the bigger ones. And it was just too funny. So here I'm taking and I'm mixing my own paint using some Dixie Belle, rustic red, and mixing it into my little paint pots because I needed a different color. I wanted to do more of a soft pink, and the soft pink I have, I'd bought some of the Vase Filler sea glass in the soft pink, so I wanted to make that, make it pink and gold and cream, just to do really different alternative colors. So back to my story about my seahorses. They actually stayed in the tank right behind where I sat for the entire school year, and come to find out they only live about 6 to 8 months or so. So that was a good thing, and I would sit there and look at them every day, and their little eyes go different directions, and they're just really fun to look at, and so they've always had a special place in my heart. So on drying it once again, I kind of blended it down a little bit by washing it with some more of that Country Summer Wheat by Chalk Country Finishes. And, you know, I also sanded just a touch to kind of give it a more of an even surface. I also used some Americana paints that I've mixed in my little paint pots so that I have those good ready to use. I tend to mix a lot of different paints together, all acrylics and things, but I mix them together to get whatever I need or whatever finish I want. So I'm using my Faber-Castell pen. You cannot use a Sharpie because Sharpies tend to bleed on everything. As much as I love and adore Sharpies, they bleed. So I'm using my little fancy pen and going around it with copper and just tracing around my wood cutout so that I know where I want my seahorses to go. So now I've got my 3 seahorses, and I'll begin to paint them in. Please show some love and hit that like button, and, you know, subscribe and spread the love to all your friends who might be interested in watching this. So I'm just kind of going back over and tracing a little bit more so I can see better on it. And this is a very simple, very cutesy kind of seahorse. There are a lot of different ones. In the next part of this video, I'm going to do a quick version, my version of what I think of when I see a seahorse. And it's a fiery, wild kind of horse-looking creature, you know. Very different than this. Another amusing thing about seahorses is the males actually carry the babies. So that fat belly belongs to males more than likely, because they actually carry the babies. So now I'm putting my pink sea glass just to kind of test what I wanted to do with it and all that. So I end up putting that on the eye of the seahorse. And right now I'm just going to start with painting in the colors so that you can actually see them better. And then I can decide exactly what I want to do with the seahorse to decorate it completely. That's another thing about the little tiny paint pots. You can shake them like mad if you want to. I've been using little paint pots for several years now, and you know, just mixing my colors and pulling it into it, and it seems to work better than a palette or anything else that I have tried. And of course, palettes are usually made, you know, for right-handed people, but us left-handed folks, you know, we can make up our own palette. I put one on my hand the other day because, you know, it's always like, if you're a kid growing up wanting to be an artist, you want to have one of those fancy palettes. And because that was like a dream, and I put one on my hand and I was like, it doesn't even fit me. It's on the wrong side. So I'm just color blocking in now, and that's a term I use sometimes when I say I'm not getting into the details. I'm just laying some color down, and that's all you have to do when you start on something as simple as this, you know, that it's already traced for you and it's not a hard painting to do. You just want to block in the color, and I'm paying special attention to the linings that I've drawn on there so that I don't go over them too much. So when I do start to add in detail, you'll be able to see the lines and still use that as a reference. I hope you enjoyed this video. I've got 2 more projects in the video, and I will try to put some pictures at the very end, so stay tuned. Pictures always are better than seeing it as it's getting done. I also have several more videos on my YouTube channel, which is Ivycreates. Of course, you probably know that if you're here, but anyways, there are many. I did a mermaid that's going to be kind of similar to what these seahorses are, as far as being like a mosaic with some sea glass. And at the end of this video, I also did a big sea glass and like a collage of things, a mosaic tiny collage on glass, and it's done on a picture frame, and that is waves, and I think you'll really enjoy it, so stick around and see how that comes out. It's really pretty. So I'm just using a little bit of red to make some of the details and to darken in the colors and add more definition to them. Now, I will tell you, there is nothing, it's scary when you put down a bright color on a really soft color, but there is nothing that paint won't fix. Even if you do something that you absolutely go, oh my god, I don't know, I just can't. You can wait till it dries and you can paint over it, so it's not a big deal. You should really try painting. I think everybody should paint. It's very therapeutic. Whether you're doing something fancy, you know, Da Vinci-like or Renaissance or whatever, or you're doing something simple and crafty like the seahorses, everybody can paint something, and it is very relaxing. I often use my fingers to wipe off extra paint. You can have a paper towel handy and blot it. You can do a lot of different things like that. Of course, I love all the creatures of the sea, and I love to do art with them all the time. We have some amazing artists here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and we, you know, it's just expected because we do have what was, and I'm not sure, but it might be still, the world's largest estuary. And what that is we have barrier islands out in front of the coast, and those barrier islands protect our inland waters. And it's not the kind of island like you go to down in Florida or in the Carolinas or something like that. You have to have a boat to get to these islands. They're pretty far away, and they're natural, and they're part of a preserve. So nobody lives on the islands. There's only one island that has a couple of houses on it, and that's Cat Island, but named after raccoons, by the way. So I'm just pulling up some of my pink sea glass and putting it onto my piece of wood so I can start gluing it all together. So yeah, we have the estuary means that all of our rivers, including the Mississippi River, dump into that area, and so it makes a brackish water. It's not 100% salt, it's not 100% fresh, and so that makes a good playground for all of the sea creatures to come and have babies, and they do. And we have a huge industry in fishing and oysters and all kinds of really cool things that show up. The only thing I don't have a lot of is shells. We have oyster shells, but not like, you know, scallops and things like that. We don't really have many of those for some reason. You can find them out on the islands, and you can actually, there's a ferry that goes to Ship Island, and there's an old Spanish fort out there. It's really, really cool. So I'm just kind of showing you what I'm doing on the mane, what would be the horse's mane, and the fin of the seahorse. I put all this pale pink sea glass, so it kind of sparkles and it's pretty. It's got a little bit of a silver glitter into it, and I'm just gluing it on with a glue gun. It's nice to have, a little raised. I love working with mixed media because you do get a lot of different looks, and you can have it with more dimension and more texture, and really make it interesting. I think I am most successful in doing like fantasy type of decorating, or bedrooms. When I do photography, I love to do like princess shoots or fantasy type things for little kids, and same with most of my art. I like to do things like that a lot. So I'm almost finished with it, and like I said, I just did the manes and the little fin, and it comes out really pretty, very sparkly. It's hard to tell sparkly on the camera. It just doesn't want to sparkle a whole lot. I have to have a little bit of magic in everything I do. So a little bit of sparkle is a good thing. So I'm just going back and adding in some detail. I added some red and burgundies to the seagrass that is gold. You see me going back and dipping in the water because I wanted my paint to be really thin, and the little brush that I'm using is like a thin liner brush, and it doesn't hold a whole lot of paint either. So if I get it watery, it tends to flow easier. I really think my niece is going to love this. It's quite a cute little thing. It's sophisticated but yet young, and that's what she is. Now the key on doing an eye for most any animal at all is to make sure you put a little white dot highlight in the eye so that it is like the gleam in their eye. It makes it feel more alive, let's put it that way. So another thing I had in my marine biology class, we caught a stingray, and we had these huge tanks, and we had to set up our own tanks and everything. That was part of the biology class. And the stingray was not that big, but it was, powerful and everything. You can't really keep them in a tank for very long because they get so big. And this little guy was so powerful, we had sand all over the bottom, and every time he would get angry because somebody looked at him, because they like to hide. They really don't want to be seen. And he'd get mad and he'd swish his tail around and he'd turn around and he'd displace all the sand in the entire tank. So here you can kind of see I'm finished with this, and it's looking really pretty. I thought it was a very successful project, and easy anybody can do if you just have a little imagination. And you don't have to do all the typical colors. You know, you might would have done green grass and maybe brown or blue or something in the seahorses, but seahorses actually come in thousands of colors and thousands of different kinds of seahorses, and they change, and they're just really cool little animals. I still hadn't decided. I found that tin ribbon at Hobby Lobby, and I'm just wanting to use it for everything, whether it goes or not. And I know that's crazy silly, but I just love it because it's like a tin ceiling, and being here in the very deep south, we had a lot of tin ceilings in a lot of places, especially old bars and French Quarter and New Orleans type areas. And I'm currently living about 45 minutes from New Orleans. I did live there for about 10 years. And you can see the finished product here, and it is really pretty and sparkly and girly. So my next project that I was going to do was I wanted to show you how I usually hand draw a seahorse and the differences in the way that they can look. So I'm going to draw one of my crazy seahorses, and I'm starting with the front. I do them several different ways. I usually like actually a more straightened forehead and nose, but I did this one more with a curve. So I'm starting with the forehead and nose, and then the jawline. And at the end of the nose is just the little lips, and you just think of two little round lips there. So the jawline, you can see, that's where it kind of gets between the nose and the jawline is where it gets the seahorse name, and then the mane. So I'm just starting with that, and then I'm going to go up and try to make the ridge that is where the eyes would be. And then you come down from the jawline to make the belly, and all the way down to you make the tail at the bottom. And the little tail they use kind of like their only hand or their fingers or what have you. They wrap it around seagrass and all that good stuff. But that's their only arm, so to speak. That's how they hang on. So it's not hard to draw. It's really not. It's just, it does take a little practice to get it just right. And even in this one, finishing this one, it wasn't one of my favorites that I've done. I've done many, but it just, like I said, this takes a little practice, and that's all there is to it. So now I'm just going to come down and meet the back with the tail, and I've got the fin on the back of the seahorse. And then I want to come up to where I'm going to do the mane. And the mane, it's just a personal preference. You can do anything you want. I like it to be wild and crazy. I've seen many seahorses that are like that. So you're going to give it, that soft bend in the neck, and then you're going to make this crazy looking mane. And you can do your mane however you want to do it, make it more stylized. I just happen to like mine looking crazy. So now I'm taking a wider flat brush, and I'm going back in with the brown, and I'm just going to fill in the colors on this seahorse. Like I said, in real world, seahorses come in many different colors. You could put just about anything down, and it would not be far off from realistic. Right now he almost looks like he belongs in a Dr. Seuss books. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I hope that you spread the love and tell your friends about it, and subscribe so that you can see my new videos as they come up. Now here's the bases of my Seahorse. It's very different than the other little small one, and you can see he's kind of a little bit more adult looking than the small one. The small one is cutesy, but it was not hard to do. It's very simple and very easy. I hope you do try painting. I can draw. I can actually draw fairly well. I just don't have a lot of patience for it. So, and I've never had patience for it. So doing paint when you're just painting, it's like all in one, and you don't have to go back and do anything to it, and it's not as detailed. If you draw with a pencil or charcoal or anything like that, a lot of times you add tons and tons of detail, whereas paint can be a lot more forgiving, and you don't have to add as much detail as you would as if you were drawing. I used to sit in I don't even remember, I think my geometry class, because I was bored out of my mind by the teacher. She was horrible, and I would look out the window and draw things from like the lamppost, you know, anything I could find to not be in that room with those boring people, because I would fall asleep. I would fall asleep in class a lot because I would get so bored. So now I'm just adding more to the mane, and I happen to do a mane kind of all the way back down the back of the Seahorse, as small as, you know, gets, because they're kind of spiky in the back, and I like to add the little spikes and make it, you know, go around the tail. So I'm just adding bits of the summer wheat, the country summer wheat chalk country finishes, matte chalk finish. I'm adding a little bit of that to my brown, and to make highlights and lowlights in different areas. You can see I still have not put the face on yet for my Seahorse, but I will be doing that very shortly. And honestly, most of the time I don't even rinse my brushes. I did a little bit more on this one because I did add, you know, I needed to have more water on the brush, to be honest, because I was using a smaller liner. So here I'm trying to paint in the eye with some of my black. It's Caviar Black by Dixie Belle. And I'm just putting in, because, you know, a big black eye. Although, you know, most seahorses have kind of a multiple eye. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but they move independently and they're very cool looking. I can tell you that. In Mississippi, we are currently putting our own aquarium together. When I was growing up, we used to have a little place called Marine Life, and Marine Life was it's the oh gosh, I can't remember what the name of it is, but it is a study of dolphins, and they study bottlenose dolphins here, and they've been through many, many hurricanes, but Katrina really pretty much almost did them in, because the dolphins were all out at sea, because the Marine Life was located in Gulfport Harbor. So they had to train the dolphins on how to get up onto a platform, so that when they were going to rescue them, because they're, you know, domesticated for the most part, and they were going to rescue them out of the ocean. They found all of them, I think, for after Hurricane Katrina. And they sent them to different places because it was years before we even had the location to be able to put them again. But you used to be able to go there when I was a kid, and you could go and watch the dolphins do things, and they usually had a seal or two and some birds and a couple of things. It wasn't huge. So we haven't had that in 15 years. And we are super, super, super excited to be having our own aquarium with the amount of sea life that we have around here. To have our own aquarium and to have that back, which, Marine Life did have a huge aquarium in it. But to have this state-of-the-art aquarium is just going to be fantastic down in Gulfport Harbor. And that is, of course, on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, not Gulfport, Florida. But yeah, we're very excited. So now I'm just adding in little details. Seahorses, I don't think really tend to change as much color, but they are different colors, and they all have like little spots that look like freckles on them. So they're very, very pretty, very unique. So I enjoy adding lots of layers of colors, and that gives it, of course, more depth. Gotta have depth. And the layers make it more realistic looking, which nothing that I do is overly realistic. It's all based in fantasy, but it does, you want to have some realism to it. So now I'm just adding a little bit of the brown into the background and just kind of distressing it a little. I see my crazy looking seahorse. Very different than the other one, I'm sure. And I have lots of different kinds that I do. That's just one of my favorites. So now I'm thinking, what else can I do? What else can I do to make it a little bit better? Because I have to add the glam squad into everything that I do. It has to have a little bit of magic, a little bit of glamour. So I went ahead and added some beautiful gold paint, and I used the folk art golds. This is a mixture of the royal gold and the, what is it called, genuine gold or something to that effect. So anyways, I like to add a little bit of glam, and especially when I've got something that's creamy and it's brown and it's got different colors like that in it, very monotone. If you add just a little touch of gold, then it makes it really fancy. I hope you're enjoying this video. I really do. And check out some of my other videos, the videos of the mermaid, different videos that I've done that are really cool, and not all of them are ocean oriented, but they're all like coastal farmhouse or summer farmhouse or something of the sort. And I do a variety of things. I will be getting out my flowers soon to do flowers. I just need more space. My studio is tiny. It's a tiny bedroom, so trying to figure out how I can make more space and get a bigger area to film so I can do bigger projects. Right now I have tiny little projects on a tiny little desk. So hopefully soon I'll have that fixed for y'all. So there you can see it with the pretty gold in its hair. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is it's waves, and I saw this actually, I don't remember if it was on Pinterest or what. So I'm using a frame that I bought on discount for probably $3 or $4, and anytime I find a photo frame of any kind, any size, or a picture frame, if it's on sale and it's really cheap, I'm going to buy it. So I'm taking out the back and other cardboard pieces that were in the frame, and it's just your simple wood look white frame, and I'm just going to fold in the edges of the little tabs so that the glass stays in place, and I'm going to spray the glass really good, make sure I got that price tag off because it leaves a little goo on there. So I'm using my Sprayway, which you can find on Amazon, and I will try to link down below, and it is the bomb diggity of glass cleaners. It cleans anything and everything other than glass too. So I'm just cleaning it off really good. And this is going to be sort of a mosaic. I don't really say that I do mosaics per se, but they look like they're like faux mosaics. So I'm going to be using a lot of the glass beads that you can find in the Dollar Tree or pretty much anywhere. I'm also using some shells that I collected when I was visiting my sister in Tampa. There's a great little state park there called Honeymoon Island, and if you go to the north end you can pick shells till your heart's content, and it's a really beautiful coastline, and I have never ever made it to the end. I so wish I could, but it is so long. Maybe one day, and I might have to get me a scooter or something to get all the way down to the end. But I collect tons of shells and I use them for things, and it's a beautiful place to go if you ever want to go visit. So I've got seashells, I've got an oyster or two from our local seashell that you can collect, and some small ones that I actually purchased, I think at the Dollar Tree, some other vase filler items which are sea glass, and I've got the pale blue sea glass, a few rocks from the gravel, and some black sand that I borrowed out of my daughter's fish aquarium. Don't tell her. So I'd seen this on Pinterest and I thought, oh my god, that is so beautiful. And I'll try to get a better picture to put at the end of the video because it is just so pretty. So my bathroom window faces, it's like the only way you can get into my back door, and there's my bathroom window. So I thought this might be nice to hang in that window because it drives me crazy that you can see right in there. So I'm just going to do waves, and I'm going to make it kind of like a, mosaic stained glass look. And so now I'm kind of putting everything in place to see how I want it to look. And the light will be very pretty coming in from the back of this. I'm using several different colors of beads, and one of them I actually found some pearls, so I'm putting some pearls in there as well. Please subscribe and share this video if you found value in it. Spread the love, let your friends know. I hope you come back, and I hope you join us every week as I will have a new video out for you. Alright, so I kind of got it kind of how I wanted it, and that is the general thing. You don't want it, you want to kind of lay it out, and it doesn't have to be perfect when you lay it out, but you do want to have an idea of what you want it to look like. Even if I picked it up and turned it over and dumped all this stuff out, now I have a picture in my mind because I've already laid it out to see what it looks like. I'm just setting those up on the frame, the little, the round glass pieces, just in case I need them. And once I have everything laid out, you know, pretty much how I want it, I will go in and there will be certain key pieces that will glue in place to keep my place, if that makes any sense. So like, for instance, I know where some of the big shells are supposed to go, so I want to go ahead and, you know, put those in first. And then I'll go and like the tips of the wave or the structure of the wave, I might go ahead and glue those down and then add the smaller rocks later. Also have some of this beautiful mirror shard that I gotten, I believe, from Michael's. It was called Vase Filler. And it is, yeah, it's Ashland, so it's from Michael's. It's decorative filler, and I also have that, and that is really great for sparkle. I have loved that stuff, and I'm gonna have to go get some more. Now we come to the most tedious part of the task, gluing everything in place. And I will tell you, for somebody with patience, no patience, absolutely zero patience trying to do mosaic stuff, it's very difficult. What I'm using here is going to be our Gorilla Glue, and it is the clear glue everything glue, and it is wonderful. I'm going to try and link that below for you to be able to use. You could use E6000, I could use my glue gun, but I wanted this to last a little longer, so I chose to use the Gorilla Glue. The E6000 would be the next thing that would last just as long. And so if I decide to do something else with this, you know, maybe put it outside, I know that it'll last. So I'm just gluing all of my beads in place and trying to fill in between. In the very end, I do go back and hit it with a shot of my little extra fine glitter that I love to use, that's iridescent. So that, you know, every place that there was glue, there's something. And also, I show in the end here, the center that is clear on the, I don't even know what you call this, mosaic. The center that is clear, I go and I take a bunch of that Gorilla Glue and I just kind of smear it all over, because you want to give it that watery kind of frosted look without, you know, actually being frosted, but give it that watery look so it looks like either old glass or blown glass and not so clear as it would normally be. So now I'm just kind of pushing everything out of the way, and then I'll put the glue down, and then I go back and put the beads on top of it. Trying as much as possible to stick to the original plan. Of course, nothing ever finishes as close to the original plan as you think it will be. This is a very tedious and long process, but well worth it. It's definitely well worth it. In the end, it turns out really, really beautiful, and I was really proud of this project. And it's going in my bathroom. Alright, you can see I kind of skipped ahead a little bit because you don't need to sit through all that business, and you can see what's going on. And I'm just putting in different colored backgrounds so that you can actually see a little bit better, because it's too distracting what I have on my actual table. I don't know if anyone remembers, a lot of the things that we do as adults actually go back to when we were kids. Imagine, when you were a kid, you made all those little macaroni mosaics, and you used beans and macaronis and all kinds of food items to glue down to something to make whatever picture you were making for whatever reason. And this reminds me of that a lot, even though I'm using a lot more adult products. It does remind me of that. So you can see the waves, the kind of how it moves and how the waves look, and kind of crazy and different. Tend to thinking that I'm doing a lot of Dr. Seuss looking things lately. I had to be real careful because the Gorilla Glue does not set fast at all. The E6000 I think sets a lot faster than the Gorilla Glue does, but I couldn't move it for a little bit, and I even tried drying it with the hairdryer, and that worked a little bit. I mean, not the hairdryer, the heat gun. That worked a little bit, but it still was not fully cured, and I think I'm going to have to wait till tomorrow for it to be at least fully cured. Like I said, I'd bought this frame on clearance. I think I probably spent $3 or $4. And because of that, there were a couple of nicks and dings down in the corner where I put the oyster. And so I just covered it up with the oyster and a couple other seashells to give it that extra little pop. And covered those little dings right on up. So you can see now that I am actually using the glue, and if you do it just like I'm doing it here and you rub it across the glass, it makes a lot of texture and a lot of real wavy looks. The thing I did though is I went back with my finger and kind of smoothed it out a little bit more, and it made it more watery. I could have left it just like it was and it was fine. It's just, my need to have to get my fingers dirty. And believe me, I shouldn't be, because I just got my nails done today. So yeah, I go in with my finger and I kind of smooth it all out. And, like I said, in the end I have to add my little bit extra, and this extra fine glitter that I use, it's iridescent, it tends to is a good substitute for a like mermaid sand, a fantasy sand. And it's nice to have. I put it on, gosh, it's like sprinkling salt on something, almost everything. And you can see how the glue kind of makes it more watery looking when the light hits through it. It really made it pretty. When I was looking at it clear, it just there was needing something, and the glue just did it for me.